This comes back to something you said earlier, faith in the perceptions of one's own and unanalyzed experience.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Right.
And I want to point out that when we talk about following the facts wherever they take us, now I want to talk a little bit about information. If you're thinking about information, understand first of all that the term information is itself. Let's just say somebody says, "Well, I follow the information." Well, the information itself is neutral in terms of intellectual standards.
Right.
Just because it's information does not mean it's accurate, relevant, or deep, or any adhering to any other intellectual standards.
Right.
And the same is true for experience. Experiences, as it were, are neutral in the sense that we don't know whether your experience is, you'll say, accurate or logical, depending on how we might, what the situation is. And so you have information, which is neutral. We don't know whether it's good or bad information. We have your experiences, which we don't know whether they're informed, well-informed, or not well-informed. We don't know whether your experience is distorting reality or not distorting reality. Observations, all of these are coming under information. Observations would also be neutral. We don't know how good your observations are. That's your perception. You observe something, but there may be something missing here. Reasons, again, neutral. But when we take facts, facts are under information. Those facts are not neutral.
Right. The
So
word
said, well, this is a true fact. That's a new thing coming into the language. Sad state of affairs when people start saying, in intelligent people, it's a true fact. If it's a fact, it is true. So don't add true to the beginning of it. And then evidence fits in with facts. Evidence is either sound or not sound.
Right. Right. The word implies that, right?
The word implies that.
You
can say, well, listen to the evidence of my experience. And I can say, well, then your experience is going to have to dovetail with other evidence.
Right. Yeah. A standard that we don't ordinarily mention at all is representative, but that comes up very strongly with experience. So if I have experience on a certain kind of case, I need to make I have to reason out the extent to which this kind of case is representative of the other kind of cases. So if I'm a doctor and I have someone who shows a certain number of symptoms, in my experience, people who show these symptoms have the following illness, I want to ask myself, to what extent is my experience representative of cases as a whole? And one of the things about experience is that they're almost always going to be extremely limited. I mean, my experiences are limited to the locus around my body, right, to what I've actually experienced. So I live in Chicago, and if I spent my whole life in Chicago, my experience would be limited to Chicago. I once met a man in the Czech Republic who said to me, "You know where many intelligent people in the United States come from?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Oklahoma." And I'm guessing he met someone from Oklahoma who was very intelligent, and he drew the conclusion based on his own experience. But so representative, used in that sense, is a standard of critical thinking, is an intellectual standard, and it's one that I think, always have to take account of when we're basing things on our own experience or our own observation. Those are always going to have limitations built in. And the counter to that often is doing a lot of reading, experiencing multiple cultures, going into different localities and living in them so that your experience broadens and widens. Yeah.